Wussey's Knitting Club presents How to Make the Infinity Scarf. The Infinity Scarf is perfect for a homemade gift this Christmas or even a treat for yourself. Wow your friends and family by making this gorgeous and cozy winter warmer in as little as 30 minutes. No knitting needles are required, as for this Infinity Scarf, we will be knitting with our arms. Wussey's Knitting Club, bringing families together, one stitch at a time. Before you start, make sure you have the next 30 minutes completely free to concentrate on your project, as once you get started, you will certainly have your hands tied, literally. For our Infinity Scarf, we will be using 2 balls of super chunky yarn at exactly the same time. The colour and length is up to you. To cast on, place both balls of yarn together on your left hand side. We will be knitting with both yarns at the same time for extra thickness. Before we cast on, feed your yarn through to your right hand side. 4 feeds of 3 feet each is perfect. For the first cast on, we will make a knot and slip it onto our right wrist. To do this, hold the yarn in your left hand and with your right hand go over the top, down underneath, over the top again, and then take the excess yarn in your right hand and pull it through. Feed your right hand through the loop that you just created and tighten off. For the Infinity Scarf, we will be casting on with 12 stitches. Make sure that you can clearly identify the left hand yarn and the right hand yarn. We have our first stitch, so let's do the next 11. Hold both sets of yarn in your left hand and then use your thumb and finger to separate. Lower your right hand to make a V shape with your yarn. Next, feed your right hand through the front left and then back in through the front right. Feed your right hand through the loop and tighten off. Repeat the process another 10 times, ensuring you have a total of 12 stitches cast onto your right arm. To knit from our right arm to our left, we use an incredibly simple method. Hold the yarn in your right hand, hook the last stitch you made over your hand, then feed your left hand through the new loop that you have just created. To finish, simply tighten the stitch. We want to knit as tight a stitch as possible, and so don't be afraid of really tightening the stitch onto your arm. Repeat this process until all 12 stitches have been knitted. To knit from our left arm to our right, we simply reverse the same technique that we just applied. This time, hold the yarn in your left hand, hook the last stitch you created over your hand and feed your right hand through the loop. Repeat this for all 12 of your stitches, remembering to tighten off each stitch before moving on to the next. Continue to knit back and forth using the same methods until you have about 4 feet of yarn left. You should notice your speed naturally increasing as you gain confidence with each stitch. The more times you practice, the sooner you will be making your infinity scarf in 30 minutes. Should you wish to make your scarf longer, or if you have simply run out, you can easily tie on a new ball of yarn and either trim the knot down with scissors now, or do this once your scarf is complete. Casting off is perhaps the easiest step on our knitting journey. First, knit 2 stitches as you usually would. Then, simply remove the first stitch by lifting it over your hand, let go and tighten up. There is no need to hold the yarn in your hand when removing a stitch. Now, simply alternate between knitting a stitch and removing a stitch. Knit a stitch and remove a stitch. Hold the yarn when you knit, let go of it when you remove a stitch. When you have your last stitch remaining, simply unhook it from your hand and feed it through. Congratulations, you have now finished knitting your scarf. All that is left to do is to now join your scarf together to transform it into the infinity scarf. Working on the reverse side, line up the 2 ends and feed your excess yarn through the end stitches, working your way from the top to the bottom. It is really important that you feed your yarn through the last loop that you made when casting off. This will ensure that your scarf won't unravel at this final stage. Tie your yarn 3 times around a stitch of your choice and use a pair of scissors to trim off the excess. The same method applies for the other end of your yarn. Work as neat as you can here for the best results. Don't forget to trim off any other knots if you added extra yarn to your project earlier. Well done! Your infinity scarf is complete.